Welcome, everybody. It is Friday. It's an Ask Me Anything session, and this is a LinkedIn Live with experienced investigators and me, Jeannie Walters. I am so thrilled that you're here. We're talking about a big subject today, something that a lot of us have to get better at, frankly. This is about speaking customer experience like a leader. We need to make sure that we are using the right words, the words that will resonate with the leaders and the teams that we work with to make those changes and create the impact that we want for the customers that we serve and create those business outcomes, which we all want as well. So before we dive in, we have kind of a special guest here. I'm just going to say that. So Paige is in Italy right now, being an opera diva. She is singing in an opera festival. We're all very proud of her.
Yeah.
And we have Sean from the XI team here. Sean, how are you?
Good. Happy to be back. It's been a bit.
It has been a bit, but last time I don't think you had the full house that you're in right now with the beautiful background, and you basically built it over a long time. So
yes, it's been a long time coming. Not with my own two hands, not everything, but
you did a lot though.
Yeah, I did, and it's been fun.
Good.
It's fun. Yeah, I'm excited about today's topic and excited to be back.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you. So, you are on the inside of experienced investigators a little bit, operations and things like that. And you have a way that we start meetings, and I thought that would be fun to share. So how do we usually start meetings, Sean?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Jeannie. So we have a good sized team, about 10 folks to kind of keep the Genie machine going with experienced investigators. And we start our meetings with, personal best and business best, just to kind of get us maintain connection with the team and kind of get the group kind of going, the juices flowing. So I'd love to do that here. My personal best is I have a daughter that's 20, and she came up with her friends and just celebrated her birthday. And we played a game called blind dodgeball, which was a little crazy for 20-year-olds old. But again, groups of two, one person's blindfolded, the other person's kind of directing them and then trying to hit, the old school way to hit them with a ball and knock them out.
That sounds fun.
It took them back to their grade school years, and that was it was a lot of fun and a great birthday.
So that's cool. Did anyone get like the welts that I remember getting from grade school dodgeball?
No, it's you have a lot less velocity on a ball when you're
That's true.
It was a lot of fun.
That's cool. And I would be curious, anybody joining us, if you want to drop in your personal best and your business best into the comments, we want to celebrate that too. So that's a good personal best. That's a hard one to follow.
It was a lot of fun last weekend. And then my business best is all the good work we've done here at Experienced Investigators on CXI membership, getting that together, and it's been a team effort, and it's ready for its spotlight.
Yeah. Well said. Yes, I agree. And it's definitely a team effort. We have a lot of great folks here who are working both in front of and behind the scenes and with clients and with our membership and all those good things. So well, it's fun to have you here. And I know you're going to be watching for questions as we go, and you'll come back. We'll go over some of those questions, and let's dive in. This is a big one. So we'll see you in a bit. And right now we are looking at really understanding, what does it take to speak in the way that we need to as a CX leader? I call this Speak CX Like a Leader, because I think a lot of organizations have people in what they call customer experience roles, but really they're kind of relegated to reporting on feedback metrics or reporting on kind of big ideas, but not connecting those to business outcomes. So now we're going to shift our mindset. We're going to think like business people, business leaders who care about customer experience. So first of all, hi, everybody. I'm Jeannie. It's been a while since we've done one of these. The summer is a busy time for everybody, but we are always happy to get together with you here. Now, for more than 20 years, the mission of my company, my mission has been to create fewer ruined days for customers. We just celebrated 16 years with experienced investigators. And we really do this by empowering leaders like you. And we have so many resources for you to do this. We have LinkedIn learning courses. You can find tons of articles. We have 500 plus articles on our site at experienceinvestigators.com. We release several a month. And then we also have things like this, free webinars, free live events, all sorts of things that you can find on our YouTube channel as well. And of course, we have the Experience Action podcast. This podcast is a little different. It's not a straight interview podcast. What we do is we take your questions. I answer those once a week. And then once a month, we have a special episode called CX Pulse Check, where I invite a unique and different type of co-host every month, not necessarily CX focused. We've had folks from HR, from digital marketing, from innovation, and we talk about what's happening in the world that will impact or inspire around customer experience. We use real headlines, real media stories, and we talk about things that are going on in the world today. So you can ask me a question at any time at askjeannie.vip. You can record it for me, or there's a text option if you would like us to record on your behalf. All right, now let's jump in. So if you've ever felt like efforts in customer experience are sort of lost in translation when talking to your executive team specifically, you are not alone. One of the things we do here at Experience Investigators is coach leaders. And I hear this over and over again. They say to me, yes, we're doing these things, but our leaders keep forgetting, or they are not keeping up with what we're doing, or they don't really see the importance of it. And that's because we are assuming that they are fluent in some of the language we use. Acronyms can be very misleading. Acronyms can be a problem. And in CX, we use a lot of acronyms, just like other industries. So we might talk about things like NPS and CLV and VOC as if everybody should know what we're talking about. But really, we have to spend time spelling those things out, talking about Net Promoter Score, not just what it is by definition, but also how are we using it and why is it important? Same thing with customer lifetime value or the voice of the customer program. Why is that important? So outside of our teams, if we are throwing around these acronyms and we're expecting people to get excited about it when we say things like, hey, look at that, NPS is trending upward, or look at this, we had fewer detractors this month. If we're not putting that within context of what really matters to leaders, then we are not building a case for customer experience. This is about outcomes. We have to make sure that we are focused, we are laser focused on outcomes. So we need to make sure we're not sounding vague or even academic to the business leaders that we're reporting to, that we're working alongside. We want to make sure that we are connecting everything to the outcomes that they care about, because they are paid based on outcomes. The business is successful based on outcomes. We decide if we can hire more people based on outcomes. So we have to be very clear on connecting the dots between when we talk about things like Net Promoter Score or voice of the customer programs. How does that impact the outcomes that our business leaders care about? So this is really talking about navigation. We have to navigate to make sure that we get to customer experience, return on investment, ROI. So think about this like navigating a customer journey. What's the entry point for your executive audience? Why would they care about this? Why are they even included in this conversation? What pain points are they experiencing? And what outcomes are they trying to reach? Now, if we identify the pain point of the chief marketing officer, if we identify the pain point of that tech team that we're trying to get the attention of, then we can start working within that context and saying, hey, we can not only help you overcome that pain point that you're experiencing, but we can help you get to the promised land of better outcomes. If you invest in the right efforts around customer experience, the data is there to prove over and over that that will lead to better business outcomes. We have to connect those dots. By the way, we can't do that by saying, you know what, NPS is higher, therefore everything is better. It has to be more specific than that. So we're going to talk about 5 ways today, but I encourage you to think about this as what is the next step for you? Because these are introducing these ideas to you. We have a whole webinar we'll talk about at the end that actually will go into detail about these, give you some examples, tools, all of those things. Today, this is an introduction. So, number one, we want to start with that strategic relevance. 2, be metric minded, little asterisk to a point. 3, offer clear, actionable insights. 4, frame success stories as customer narratives. And 5, use the rule of 3. Number 5 is good for all parts of business communication, in my opinion. So, number 1, start with strategic relevance. This is where we need to connect those CX initiatives to what our leadership team is already focused on. I can guarantee your leadership team wants higher revenue, lower expenses. Number 1, both those things. We have to connect to those things. But you also might have specific goals around growth, retention, efficiency, differentiation, brand awareness. There are all sorts of things that leadership teams care about based on the moment in time, the journey that you're on. So make sure that you are really crystal clear about what those things are. If your executive team is only focused on customer acquisition because maybe you're a startup or you're growing, then you want to make sure that you provide the context that this is strategically relevant to care about customers because it will lead to more customer acquisition. We have to connect those dots again and again. One of the best ways we found to do this is to document it, to make sure that you have a customer experience success strategy statement, which then we like to turn into a success strategy blueprint, which actually shows these are the steps we're taking. This is the priority. Because once somebody comes back to you and says, hey, shouldn't we do this? Shouldn't we do this? You have that mapped out and you can say, yeah, we can do that if that is actually a priority. But right now, we know this is our priority and this is why we're taking the steps to do that. We want to define specific CX program outcomes that extend to our organizational goals. I cannot stress this enough. This is why it's number 1. We need strategic relevance. Otherwise, we are talking about ad hoc improvements. We are talking about numbers going up and down that people don't really understand or see the connection to dollars and cents. We are talking about things in the abstract. This is what makes it real for our leaders and for the people that we need most to give us that buy-in and to lead through what they're doing. All right, be metric minded. Little asterisk here, which I'll explain. But essentially, executives are driven by numbers, and we have to be really clear about what those are. A lot of organizations use KPIs, which are key performance indicators. Some use OKRs, which are objectives. I'm blanking on K, so we'll figure that one out. Key results, I think that's what it is. But essentially, we all have these different methods of kind of tracking priorities and measuring those priorities. That's why we need to be metric minded. We need to make sure we are measuring the right things that show business impact. So if we are talking about things like Net Promoter Score or like first call resolution, let's say in a call center, if we're talking about that and saying, look at this is great, our number is getting better. If we don't connect that back to the overall KPIs that our leaders care about, and we can say things like our first call resolution is getting better, which means that we are reducing the cost of service. And since one of our KPIs this year is around operational efficiency, you can see how that connects. But we have to make the case. We can't assume that they're going to see that. So as you go through, think about ways not so that your executives don't have to think or work to make that connection. That is our job to present to them. And then we want to offer clear, actionable insights. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say when we talk about metric minded, this is what I mean with the asterisk. We can't just talk about one metric in a vacuum. We can't talk about the fact that we are only looking at something and that is the magic metric. You've heard me say this again and again. There is no magic metric. What we have to do is look at feedback metrics, operational metrics, and operational measurements, I should say, and behavioral analytics. What are people actually doing? What are they telling us? And what is the business telling us? So retention is something that would be considered an operational outcome, right? But what is happening right before they have to renew? Are customers calling in for more service? Are they not calling in? Are we not engaging with them? We have to start looking at those things to understand what is the effort we have to take based on these metrics, because metrics are not an outcome. Metrics are a measurement. We have to focus on the outcomes and then figure out what is the action we're going to take to improve that outcome. The metrics help us measure. Number 3, offer clear, actionable insights. This is where I have seen a lot of leaders who get really excited about a dashboard or a report, and they get really excited because they are living and breathing these numbers every day. They understand this data backwards and forwards. So when they see things like, "Oh my gosh, our survey engagement is going up," right? That's really exciting because in a macro trend right now, fewer customers are responding to surveys. So if you start seeing an uptick, you might get really excited about that. You might get excited about seeing things that are signals about NPS or transactional satisfaction, for instance. But if you just say, look at all these great things, blah, look at all the numbers. Here's a graph. Here's another graph. Here's a pie chart. Here's this. Then we call that data dumping. And this is where we expect everybody that we're interacting with and that we're reporting on to really understand what is happening when, frankly, they don't. And it's not their job to. What we need to do is make sure we summarize what the data is, why it matters, and frankly, what's being done about it. I am a business owner. So if I'm the leader of an organization and somebody came to me and said, look at all this data and didn't give me insights, I'm going to go back to them and say, okay, why do I care? That's the question that we have to answer before they ask it. So make sure we are talking about specific insights that matter to our leaders and that we are telling them what is being done about it. This is where buy-in can be critical because we sometimes have to just influence. We actually don't have accountability or authority over the changes and improvements that need to be made. So what does that tell us? Well, we have to make sure that we are getting that buy-in from the leaders, getting that buy-in from those teams that we need, because then they can understand we're making a case for them. We're saying, hey, we know that the data is saying all of these things, and we believe that if we were to correct this part of the journey, this is the outcome that we would all see, so that they can start seeing, oh, that might be something we can help with. That might be something we can do. The leader might say, okay, now we need to make this a priority because we see how it connects to the outcomes. I've seen a lot of friction between different teams when the customer experience team, all they're doing is showing up and saying, here's all the negative feedback we've been hearing from customers about your work. What are you going to do about it? That is not being valuable. We have to show up with incredible value. And the way to influence is to show them how this will benefit them. So we have to be very clear on the insights that we have so that they can see the outcomes that they influence or impact. And then we want to frame success stories as customer narratives. I have seen a lot of scorecards and dashboards that don't have anything at all that is resembling a human being. And we have to make sure that every time we show up, we remind everybody that these numbers that we're talking about, this data, it represents people. It represents people that we serve, that we've either maybe not kept our promise to as an organization, or we have exceeded and they love us and we should do that for more people. So we want to make sure that we are using things like customer quotes, testimonials, social media remarks, recordings from the contact center. Now with AI, you can actually summarize things so quickly. Verizon recently announced that they were having this new CX experience. And one of the things that they are talking about is how AI can summarize all the conversations in their call center for 24 hours and then sends a report to the executives and says, this is what we're hearing from customers for real. That can have an incredible impact. So while this is about qualitative and being human, we also want to make sure that we are using the technology and tools that we have available to us now. But we want to tie emotional impact to measurable outcomes whenever possible. Nothing gets people to move emotionally more than an actual story. A spreadsheet, a graph has never moved somebody to tears. A story about why it's important to that one person that we can relate to. This is in our DNA. We have been storytellers for eternity. And so use that. We have some great resources for you about how to use storytelling as a customer experience leader on our site at Experience Investigators. I would encourage you to check that out. And I'm sure we've tackled that as a topic in one of these lives before. Oh, there we go. Kia is in the background. Thank you, Kia. And she's very good at finding those things. So we are going to make sure that whenever we talk about the numbers, we balance that with the qualitative, with human stories. It is so incredibly important. And then use the rule of three. This is more of a communication tactic, but it is something to keep in mind. We all have too much to do and not enough time to do it. We all have many, many expectations on us that are growing every day. And so it is easy to hear things in a certain way that makes it feel like, oh my gosh, this is one more thing I have to do. And I don't want to do it. This isn't my job. I didn't sign up for customer experience. I'm a marketer. I'm a finance person. Why should I care about this? If we can make it crystal clear by relying on all the things we just talked about, building that business case, we want to make sure we're tying things to the KPIs that matter. We want to offer those actionable insights, all of those things. But then we also want to bundle things up into 3 clear takeaways. We want people to walk out of a meeting or a presentation or reviewing a report saying, I know exactly the 3 things they wanted me to care about. This helps everybody process information. It helps retain information, all of those things. I will admit I am sometimes not great at this because there's so much. We want people to see all the things. And when you're somebody like me who loves being curious and you love learning, which a lot of customer experience people are, it can be really easy to be like, oh my gosh, you've got to know this and this and this and this and this. And by staying focused on what are the 3 most important things that we want somebody to walk away with, that can really help with clarity, with making sure that those actionable insights that we talked about will be acted on. And it really helps me as a content creator understand what are the most important things for this moment in time, for this part of the journey, for this person. We always want to think about the one person we are talking to. Even if we're talking to a boardroom full of people, we have to think about that one person. As a keynote speaker, this comes up as well. We have to think about what is it that there's a lot that will wash over people. We don't know where people are with their own journeys. They might have things going on. So how can we help them get there with the least amount of cognitive load? This is a really great tool for that. You've seen we've dropped in the Ask Me Anything banner there. Please feel free to drop in questions, comments, stories. We love your stories. And we'll get to those in a minute. But this is to recap. We want to start with strategic relevance, be metric minded, offer clear, actionable insights, frame success stories as customer narratives, and use the rule of 3. Because essentially, what this all comes down to is that we need to build ongoing momentum for customer experience. It is not a one and done. It is not a project. It is not a program. This is something that is a cross-functional strategy. And if we approach it as that, that means it demands shared understanding among leaders and teams and everyone in our organization. When we align customer experience language to business goals, we empower executives to support, invest in, and amplify our work. We need that buy-in in order to get things done. We make it easier for them to see ROI, to spot those opportunities, and champion the customer as a driver of success. So, what steps can you take today to get your message across? I would love to hear from you on this too. Is there anything that we talked about today that you can take with you and actually move forward to get the attention that you and your customers deserve so that you get the ROI, you get the empowerment, you get the efforts, you get the resources and the people and the investments that you need? That is what is most important to keep that momentum going. We talk a lot about this and everything else in CXI membership, which Sean mentioned before. If you haven't yet checked out what that is, it's a way to get on-demand learning. We have all sorts of programs in there. We talk about things like journey mapping. We talk about things like developing your customer experience mission. We talk about how to get, the mindset around the difference between customer service and customer experience. You can scan that QR code to check it out or just go to cximembership.com. I was asked recently, why CXI? Good question. CXI is Customer Experience Investigation. We really believe at Experience Investigators, thus the name, that you have to be super curious in everything that you do. A lot of customer experience work is investigation. It's investigating, why are the numbers telling us this? What can we do about it? Why are we hearing this feedback from customers? What's happening with this process that's creating this challenge for our customers? We have to constantly be curious and investigative. And that's why we name the company Experience Investigators and why CXI is a registered trademark of ours. So CXI membership is all about that. How can we help you have the tools to be that investigator, to find the information you need to empower you and your teams to really deliver on the customer experience goals that you have? And due to that, we are taking this topic and we are blowing it up again. We are going into more detail. We've got some examples and tools and calculations to help you specifically with the language of leadership. This is about how to communicate CX in the boardroom and get that buy-in. This is a special webinar we have coming up. We try to do these once a quarter, so not very often. They're always very popular, so I would encourage you to save your spot. Wednesday, August 27th, it's going to be at 11 o'clock Central Time. You can scan that QR code or just go to that bit.ly link, bit.ly/CX language, and sign up and register, and we'll make sure you get all the right information. So, Sean, I am curious, are you excited about this webinar?
I am. And listening to the kind of the pre-talk today, I think the ongoing momentum is tremendous, right? Like in time, it's almost like the business leaders are giving you a little playbook of how to align yourself with the overall company goals, which can kind of keep that wheel moving. I'll be really interested on the 27th to hear more about how to use the numbers through examples, and then actually creating the customer narratives, I think is understood, but I think going a deep dive in that area is also going to be real interesting for the folks.
Yeah. And I think the part that is so challenging, but it's also so rewarding in customer experience is there's no one perfect way to do this, right? Like there's no, like, here's the perfect formula for how to do everything. Every time we work with different clients or we go into different organizations or we're coaching different leaders, it's a different kind of calculation we have to put together. And so one of the things that I feel really strongly about is when we use that success statement, it kind of guides you through exactly what to break down. What is most important? Where should you look for those KPIs? It's amazing how many organizations don't really have their goals all figured out. And so sometimes that takes some investigation of what's really important here, even if it's not documented. So there's all sorts of nuance to this. And the goal with the webinar is to really show all the different ways that you can put this together and give you tools so that wherever you are in your organization, you have the tools to really put this together and make sure that you are addressing the right priorities, getting that leadership buy-in, and ultimately delivering on the customer experience goals and the business outcomes that you're really looking to achieve. So I'm excited.
One of the things I really like about your programs, Jeannie, is you're helping others do their job better. You're giving them examples, and it gives them the ability to take what they can into their day-to-day work and kind of excel. So I'm thankful for being here, and I'm excited about the 27th to hear more.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. And that's part of our mission, right? To empower leaders to
Yeah.
create fewer ruined days for customers. And it's really hard to do that if you don't have buy-in and you don't have investment and you don't have all the things. So
Right.
let's get all the things.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, did we get any questions? Do we have things to chat about here?
We do. We've got a couple. Um, Jeannie, how do we maintain alignment between our CX language and evolving business strategy?
Mhm. Really good question because I don't know anything that stays the same, right? Sometimes we talk about strategy as if it's the static thing, but it's really not. Like we are constantly looking at, and we work with organizations that are looking at their strategy, revamping it, priorities shift, all of those things. And that's why it's so important to be kind of plugged in to your leadership to make sure that you are maybe not, I can't guarantee you maybe get a seat at the table, but you at least know what's happening in the room because otherwise it's really easy to be in a vacuum of sorts. And so what I would say is as you are defining your goals within the context of your overall organization and your overall organizational goals, then you want to break that down into um, maybe time bound things like what are we going to do this quarter, next quarter, over a year, 3 years, and then keep revisiting those, making sure they're real, making sure they are still the priorities of your leaders. That can be really important. The other thing is to look at what won't change. What won't change are some of the things we talked about. Every organization, if you can connect the dots to more revenue, more profit, more customers, or you can connect the dots to lower expenses, um, less need for technology or tools, less need for repairs or rolling trucks out when we are in a business like that. All returns, customer returns are a big one too. All if we can connect the dots to those things, everybody's going to care about that. That will always be part of the strategy. So when we talk about being strategic, sometimes that means being strategic minded, meaning, okay, if I were the leader of this organization, what would I care about the most? And every leader is going to care about those things. So get strategic in that way. And then as priorities shift and as business strategy shifts, you will still be able to connect the dots to the efforts that you're making around customer experience and what is actually happening with the goals and the outcomes that leaders want to achieve.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense.
Good.
We got another question. Um, how can we adapt the way we speak about customer experience for the different audiences, board members, employees, frontline staff, without losing the clarity or consistency?
So this is really about communicating to different audiences.
Yeah.
And I think we all are challenged with that, right? We all have to do that in some ways. But when we think about let's think about the boardroom, for instance. Most of those folks are not day to day. They are not in the trenches with you. They are there to guide and to offer wisdom. We have to prove to them that the investment of time and resources is paying off. So we have to start there. So, what I always like to do is think about the mentality of who we are talking to. So, if we are talking in the boardroom, we absolutely have to give them the context of, hey, the investments that we're making are working, and here's how. The investments that we need are going to lead to good things, and here's what. And if we are trying to kind of do that all with numbers and cents, we have to still remember that these people are still people, even if they don't always seem like it, right? We have to make sure that we are connecting emotionally as well. We have to make sure that we are looking into what are some of the ways that we can strike that emotional resonance. And so that's where bringing in things like these are the investments we want to make and here's why. Here's what happens if we don't make that investment. And telling a customer story, using a customer quote, showing things that really show that this is not only costing the business or the organization money and those outcomes that we want, but it's also costing an emotional cost. And I think sometimes that is what moves people more, but the boardroom often they don't get told that. I remember very vividly a time when I walked into an executive meeting and I was presenting information after we did a lot of consulting and research and journey mapping. And I showed not only the required spreadsheets and things, but also the actual kind of pain points in very vivid ways, showing customer quotes, showing what happens, showing the difference between how they handled it with the customer and how a competitor handled it. And the CFO walked up to me afterwards and he said, "Thank you so much for this because I sat through 4, presentations before this that were just spreadsheets." And that was the CFO. And so I think that's a lesson that we have to remember whoever we're talking to, we have to make it emotionally resonate as well as resonate with these outcomes. So going down that list a little bit, let's say you're talking to your contact center folks. Well, they are in the trenches every day. They are hearing things that nobody else hears. So, what I would do is invite them into that communication a little bit differently. I would say, "Hey, first of all, we want to hear from you. And when we do, these are the outcomes." They want to know that when they have suggestions and feedback, it's being taken seriously. Not only is it being taken seriously, but we're acting on it. We are improving things, not just for our customers, but also for them. So if we want them to connect the dots with the outcomes, that is an outcome they will care about. But that's exactly what we have to do. We have to break down what is it this group cares about? How can we communicate in the best way? And how can we make sure we're not just blanketing everybody with a scorecard that basically says, "Hey, this is net promoter score," because that won't resonate with anybody. We have to put the dots together. We have to make sure that every single person sees how they play an important role in delivering the customer experience and how they benefit from it when we do this well, when we put in the right efforts and we get that return on that investment. Part of the return on the investment is happier employees, employee retention in the contact center, making their jobs easier, all of those things. So really break down, what does this person care about? And if you can get to that granularity, that makes everything else easier. My friend Ann Hanley, many of you have, I'm sure, heard of her. She is with Marketing Prof. She wrote a fabulous book called Everybody Writes. And her whole approach to writing is a reminder of think about the one person. And I really believe this when we are talking about communication. Right now, as I'm talking to all of you, I'm not thinking of all of you. I'm thinking about the one person. I'm thinking about you sitting there watching this, participating, because that helps us have a real dialogue. And I think that's so important when you prep for these things, when you show your reporting to these different audiences. Think about that one person. What will they take away from it? What is most important to them? And how can we provide that context for them?
That's great. That's great advice. We have another question, Jeannie.
Great.
Uh, what governance structures are needed to keep our CX language consistent as leadership or priorities change?
Mm-hmm. Oh, governance. It's such a word, isn't it? I always kind of go, "Ooh, governance," but it's so incredibly important. So it's a great question. I think this is a combination of things. We have to make sure that we are respecting the kind of communication lead from our organizations. Sometimes that means internal communication, sometimes that means a brand style guide, all of those things. So make sure that you know about those things and follow kind of the guidelines there. And it's a really good idea to have a CX communication guide for your team. We just had something here at Experience Investigators, right? Where we put together a table of here's when you use this thing versus this thing versus this thing because it was getting confusing. And whenever you see that, it's really important to have that centralized place where everybody knows this is kind of the rule. This is what we're doing. So that's where I would start is kind of blending those two ideas of brand style guide communication and what is CX specific. that's for communication. If you're also talking about kind of measurement and knowing who's doing what, that's where you get into the broader context of CX governance. Having a governance, a CX advisory council, a governance committee, anything like that can be very, very helpful. We use something called a CX charter that we've developed, which is really a tool to make sure everybody kind of knows these are the standards. This is our mission. This is our success statement. And this is who's doing what when, which sounds so basic, but it's often overlooked. So I would encourage you to look at those tools. Oh, there you go. There it is on the screen, our CX Charter Guidebook. So you can actually figure out kind of who's doing what when within the context of the greater governance that's needed around customer experience, both doing it and communicating about it. It's not an easy thing, though. Oh, and our friend Christopher Brooks is here. Hi, Christopher.
Hey, Christopher. We do have another question from the group. And this is a little bit about certifications.
Okay.
So, Jeannie, what do you think of the many certifications, the CXPA, COPC, et cetera? Is there one that you recommend for a mid-level manager to earn and elevate up as a leader?
Yeah, this is a little bit of well, I'll just say this is my opinion. Okay, so people have different opinions, but first of all, for a middle manager wanting to level up, I would totally recommend our CXI membership. I'm not just saying that, but it's got so much in there that will help you. So I just want to throw that out there. But the certification wise, I believe that the CXPA, which is the Customer Experience Professionals Association, their certification is the CCXP, which is the Certified Customer Experience Professional. I believe that's kind of the gold standard. And here's why. Many of the certifications that are out there are based on an approach, a methodology to software sometimes, like some of the big software brands have their own certifications. Sometimes there are some that are more based on kind of one methodology, one way of looking at things. The CXPA has been built from the beginning of customer experience professionals from all over. The CCXP is developed by many, many, many people. It has been developed over time and tested, and it now they have 5 areas of expertise. It used to be 6, but they have 5 now. So it's not about one thing. A lot of certifications out there that I've seen are actually based on one area, like voice of the customer. What I like about the CCXP is that you are tested not only on that, but also on things like strategy and everything. Do I agree with every single question on the test? Probably not. Do I agree with every approach that they talk about? Probably not. However, I know that the integrity of the organization is high and that it is based on an overall industry. It's not based on one modality or methodology or technology. That's the approach I would take. That's the approach I did take. I'm one of the first CCXPs and I continue to renew every year. So when we talk about those things, that is something that when you really think about what certification is for, it's for 2 things. One, it can be to show you what you've done, right? We have small certifications for our courses in CXI membership. So it helps you see like, hey, I did it. I passed the quizzes. I did it. It also helps others see that you did that this happened. I believe that the CCXP is the gold standard. That's the ones that employers look for. That's the one that, these different programs look for. That's my opinion. There are others that maybe I don't know about that have their own benefits, but that's the approach I would take. And again, check out CXI membership because we do have a lot in there that will help you with the skills and the learning that, will get you there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, those are our questions today.
Great.
Jeannie,
Well,
what a great
let
group
me highlight what Christopher shared here. He said, we ask to help our customers and colleagues achieve their outcomes, not to mark our own homework. What a great quote. What a great quote, because I think it's a great point. Here, I'll put it up there. Because when we are talking about, we have a lot of like milestone achievement goals that we have to achieve. Like, oh my gosh, we got that survey out. Oh my gosh, we did this thing. And sometimes we talk to organizations all the time who come to us and they say, well, we need to do a journey map. And I'm like, okay, why? And they go, well, we need to, do a journey map. And it's like, nope, that's not how it works. We need to do something with that. So I think it's really important to keep focusing on what we're trying to do here. We are trying absolutely to help our customers, colleagues. If you're in B2C, this is all about helping your customers achieve their outcomes, right? Like we need to make sure that they are able to deliver to their customers. And so this is big and it's important. And I think that's why I get so excited about it. It's really meaningful work. So I just want to highlight that's a great way to say it, Christopher. Thanks for being here.
Great comment, Crystal.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was fun to have you here, Sean.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
I feel like we're at like camp a little bit with all your greenery.
It's a nice day today.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you everybody for being here. We always love hearing from you in all the different capacities. And, we are so excited about this upcoming webinar. We really do hope that you'll join us there because we are getting into more and more about this topic, about how to actually craft your message, how to get that buy-in, and really what calculations to use, how to build your case. It's a little nuanced, it's a little detailed, and at the same time, it can be a whole lot of fun because it empowers you to have different conversations with the leaders around you. And I think that's what we're all trying to do, right? We are all trying to do the best that we can with the environments that we're in. So thank you so much for joining me. Again, we always love having you here. We have all these resources for you. Don't forget, you can always ask me a question on the podcast. And we really hope to see you next time. Thanks, everybody.